wherever you are. My name is Adam Saldana, and I'm a PGP student at the Indian School of Business. So thanks for joining for the Careers Abroad, the ISB PGP Advantage webinar we have today. We have two esteemed alums of the Indian School of Business here. We have Mr. Sandeep Kumar Jha, who graduated in the year 2006 and is a senior vice president at DBS Bank in Singapore. We also have Mr. Prasanna Kovalam, who graduated as part of the cohort of 2013, who is a manager at the Commonwealth Bank of Australia. Mr. Kovalam and Mr. Jha, thank you for making the time to join us.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you,
everyone. Looking forward to meeting everyone.
Great. So without further ado, I think we can dive into the many questions we have to discuss with you all this evening. So starting off, before we get to the questions, why don't we hear a bit more about the two of you? Mr. Jha, would you like to take a minute to tell us about yourself?
Yeah, sure, Aaron. Okay, so hi everyone. This is Sandeep Jha. I graduated from the ISB in year 2006. Before that, I had done my bachelor's in electronics engineering from IIT Guwahati. And after a stint of around 2.5 years of experience, I joined ISB and did my major in finance. After that, for a couple of years, I worked at Deutsche Bank in Mumbai and then moved to Singapore. There was an opportunity with Standard Chartered Bank, and I joined Standard Chartered Bank in Singapore. For about 7 years, I stayed there. I did work in various capacities, mostly in risk management. And then 6 years ago, I moved to DBS Bank, again in Singapore, doing risk management for financial derivatives and stuff. And yeah, so my role is mostly into wealth management currently, but I have looked at market risk, credit risk. I'm not sure if many of you would be familiar with these terms. Maybe some of you are, and some of you wouldn't. But it's basically one of the career that you can look up to once you do a major in finance. That would be all for now.
Got it.
Thank you.
And we will dive into some of that later. Mr. Kovalam, let's hear more about you.
Thanks, Aaron. And firstly, it's not Mr. Kovalam, it's just Prasanna. It's okay. So a bit about me. I've been in Sydney, Australia now for about, sorry about that, just some, can you hear me firstly?
Yes, that's
yeah,
clear.
sure. So I've been working in Commonwealth Bank of Australia now for over 3 years. I work for what's called the retail banking team, which is the bread and butter of the bank. I graduated ISB in 2013. I have a slightly different story. So I grew up in Australia. I worked in Australia. I studied and worked in Australia first, then came to ISB for the international student experience, worked in Deloitte Consulting for a couple of years, and then made the move back to Australia, where I'm now living and working Commonwealth Bank, as I said, in retail. So my role is to basically look at customer retention. And in a bank, there are two ways to retain a customer, or there's two causes of runoff. One is when a customer takes their home loan and goes somewhere else. And the other is to when they sell their property. So what I do is I look at those property sellers and I say, you're leaving to sell your property. How do we attract you to come back to the bank?
Hello?
Hey,
Yeah.
So that's basically me for now.
Sure, got that. Thanks for those introductions. So let's dive into the questions that we have for you all today. And starting off, so a lot of students ask basically about how the PGP will help them transition into careers abroad. So what is your take on this, and how has the PGP helped you set sail beyond India's boundaries? Mr. Jha, what are your thoughts on the same?
Okay, I'll take on this first. So before ISB, okay, I wouldn't say that I was looking to work at in foreign before doing ISB. It was more like to learn about finance first, and then explore the opportunities. But the kind of education, the kind of professors that we have at ISB, essentially, they look to you. I mean, after they impart the education, they look to you as if you would do some great changes in the world and stuff. And so, yeah, there were many things. So, for example, in 2006, the market was booming in finance. It was more about CDOs and stuff, which, okay, then there was a sad story after that in 2008, but then it was booming then. And the courses at ISB, they actually educated us on the relevant cutting edge stuff. That got me opportunity into Deutsche Bank. And with 1.5 years of experience in Deutsche Bank, because you see, Singapore is very close to India, and the demand here is more than usually the supply that Singapore can produce from these few of local universities. So there's always a demand from Singapore. And then there was so in 2008 I got a call from Standard Chartered, and it was quite easy. In fact, even in India, there were many banks which were growing, like Lehman, and Lehman went bankrupt, but Deutsche Bank and JP Morgan. So even inside India, there were various opportunities, and as well as outside India, especially in Singapore because of supply demand. So I think Singapore and Hong Kong, a lot of supply comes from India and China. But what they look for is whether you are conversant with the current status of the world, the things that is driving the economy now. The demand is more into those. And in a lot of schools, probably the course should be outdated, not up to mark, or I would say not refreshed. But that was not the case with ISB. I guess that is what perhaps helped the most to me for career abroad. I would say.
Thanks for that. Prasanna, what was your experience with the PGP, and how did that help you?
I think we have lost him, is it?
Yeah, I think we have. Okay, but I think we can move on for now, and he can join us shortly. So, Mr. Jha, with respect, so ISB, since inception, to my understanding, has had the exchange term initially with the founding schools and then broadened to others. Did you take part in this? And if so, what was your experience? Or if you didn't, what sort of impact did you see it have on your cohort mates?
No, I unfortunately did not. I wish I had taken part of in the exchange term. Actually, I would encourage everyone to take part in this. It's slightly expensive, I would say, but the experience and the network that you grow is perhaps it's something that you can tap on later, because the world is a small place. You get to meet people. If you're in one industry, after a couple of years, you definitely will get to meet them again and again. So I think the network that you make during exchange term, if in case you want to move to a particular country, would definitely be useful. I've seen a couple of my friends who did that and successfully moved over. Yeah. So
got that. So there are various activities of the alumni community. In fact, ISB is known for how vibrant and helpful its community is. How frequently do you have networking sessions, especially with those based in your part of the world?
Yeah, so we have networking sessions among different ISP cohorts. So across all cohorts, that's usually, perhaps I would say, once in 6 months. It died down a bit because of COVID. I would say last 2 years was not very active. but it is coming back again. But within own cohort, I think we perhaps frequently meet up, probably, yeah. So it depends basically on how often you want to meet. Yeah, it could easily be like once a month or once in 2 months. So the small size, big size. Singapore cohort per se is not very big for ISB. I think about, if I'm not wrong, 300 plus students. But every year, at least, we had one or two, if I remember correctly. Yeah, but yeah.
Understood. Prasanna, we were just discussing the value of the community of ISB alums when you live abroad. What has your experience been like in Australia?
Fantastic. In terms of the fact that when I first landed, the first thing I did is I reached out to the ISB community. Remember, I'm coming back to Australia. So even from that perspective, I reached out to the ISB community. And the fact is, alumni help so much across the companies you work with and everything like that, that it's just, you know, you can never, ever value them lightly.
Got that. And when it comes to matters such as the term abroad, did you make use of that, or what was it like in terms of acquiring opportunities for cohort mates of yours?
Can you repeat the question?
With respect to the term abroad, did you make use of that during your time at ISB?
No, I didn't. So once again, I'm an international student, right? So I didn't actually make use of that. Partially because, as I said, I was an international student, so I didn't really find it as interesting. But I know many of my other colleagues did.
Got that. So, Mr. Jha, you spoke about a lot of the demand for people in Hong Kong and Singapore coming from India. Has this also been the case with respect to the Middle East, especially the UAE and Dubai after the PGP?
Okay, I haven't worked in Dubai, but I would expect that it would be similar for Dubai as well, especially I guess Dubai, because there's hardly any local population, right? So it's more so. In fact, the demand pull into Dubai would be more than that in Singapore and Hong Kong, because Singapore and Hong Kong actually produce some local talent. It's less so with Dubai. So yeah.
Got that. And you spoke about your time taken to move out of India. So do you notice that it is generally a trend of 4 or 5 years, or in some cases in industries it's sooner, or does it take more time?
Okay. If I go by my experience and those of my friends, I would say most of them were outside India within a couple of years, 2 to 3 years. Yeah, I guess basically you are pre-decided whether you want to make career in India or outside India. Some people can make decision later on, and to them, I guess probably it will take more time. But yeah, I don't think there's time-bound stuff. Yeah, experience. See, if you don't have any experience locally or abroad before your ISP education, then yes, you need to get some experience before headhunters outside would actually touch you or call you. But if you already have some experience, let's say outside or even in India, and then you have the education, I don't think time is, I mean, there's any predefined time frame. But yeah, I guess it depends again on supply demand of specific industries. For example, in last couple of years, I would say like artificial intelligence, machine learning, if you've done courses related to that, or yeah, so predictive analytics and stuff, I would say perhaps you could get out within a year or so, or 1 to 2 years. If it is more mature industries where the demand would pop up once in a while, then yeah, it could take more time. So yeah, I think it will be a mix. So it's what you aspire to be and how much is the demand in that particular industry. So yeah, that's my take. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And Prasanna, you've worked in Australia for a while. So both with Australia and in other regions, what kind of profiles are generally preferred by recruiters for roles abroad? And what are the usual functions that these people work in?
So I agree with Subhash in terms of the kind of profiles. And, while there is no specific set of profiles, what does get you a foot in the door is a combination of your technical and managerial skills. So the new age manager these days is more than just a manager, right? He or she knows a bit of the technical skills, a bit of very much of the numbers and can get those numbers wherever you need to get. And I think have those that you'll be able to what you've been able to do.
Got that. And so, Mr. Jha, when it comes to opportunities outside India, you mentioned that in some cases you would need a degree of prior experience in certain fields.
Yeah.
Do you feel that this could be the case with some fields more than others?
Okay, based on my experience in Singapore, typically for fresh graduates, they would tap into local talent more, unless they have campus placement.
Mm-hmm.
So it's difficult if you don't have any experience before. So that's where I guess the average years of experience at ISB, right? So you, in general, have 4 or 5 years experience before coming to ISB, so that helps. But if you are from, let's say, if you are one of those who had very less experience, for example, when I joined ISB, I had only 2 years experience, probably, which was on the lower side. But yeah, what they want is basically you are a foreign talent in this country. So how are you a foreign talent if you don't have any experience? Right. So yeah, that.
And when it comes, sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, but in some industries, for example, you can't have people with significant years of experience, right? The coming industry, for example, if it is crypto or something, you won't have people. So even 1 year of experience counts. So yeah, that's where the difference would come between mature and upcoming industries.
Understood. And so what are the typical challenges that a person like you or you yourself have faced when planning to settle abroad? Because I understand you made the move from India, you would have cohort mates or even friends from different years of graduation who've made this move. What were the most unexpected parts of this entire journey?
Yeah, okay. I would say it was much more different when I moved, because mine was 4th batch or 5th batch, I think, at ISB. So we did not have many alumni. There was no network, I would say, big network at that point in time. But now it's very different. So the initial challenges that I had faced, probably a lot of them you would not face, because you have WhatsApp group, you have various close circles where you can ask questions about specific things. For example, okay, schools, rentals, where to stay, where. So there are things, right, which you want to know. Even, for example, before negotiation, you want to know what would be the cost. So in those cases, alumni can help. Now it's very easy, to be very frank, and I'm jealous. In my time, I did not have all this experience that I could get from alumni. So yeah.
I think that's the value of the network that compounds over time with more people being added each year.
Yep. Very true. Very true. Yeah.
So Prasanna, just to get an idea, what were career prospects like in Australia for people graduating from ISB?
Well, Australia is your life. So in terms of prospects, I look at the cohort ISB alumni, consultants, we have sales guys. We've got at one point in time we had urban.
Okay, hi Prasanna, are you there?
Got a large variety of careers that are available.
Okay, and what sort of sectors are these in?
Finance, consulting, healthcare, technology.
Got that. So let's move to discuss your lives at ISB. So, Mr. Jha, what was your passion in life before ISB? And has it stayed the same, or did the year of transformation really transform that
No,
as well?
no, my life is it's yeah, it changed a lot. I would say I wanted to become a doctor, and I ended up being a risk manager in bank. Yeah, so it's a long story, but yeah, I would say okay, how it unfolded in various ways. So after I graduated from IIT, essentially I wanted to get a taste of management, and so I joined L&T. And in L&T, during L&T, I had the opportunity to work with various consulting firms like BCG, McKinsey, Stern Stewart, and that got me thinking that okay, maybe I should do consulting, and that's when ISB clicked in all the corners that it was known for consulting. Even then, when it had 3-4 years of I think only 3-4 years of history, and so yeah, I went to ISB thinking that I would become a consultant just like others. But once yeah, I was going through the curriculum, and I did not know about finance, to be very frank. And then with courses, even I would say, for example, when I did the course of statistics, so I don't know if they still teach or not, Dr. Stein and Waterman, when they taught statistics, in the way they taught, right? They basically made me feel that, okay, now I know what statistics is. Even though I'm an engineer from IIT, frankly, the way they taught, it changes your attitude towards solving problems and understanding the basics. And so once I learned about finance, the engineer inside me, yeah, it just yearned for it. So I forgot about consulting and made a diving into finance. So yeah, it's part of, I guess, yeah, you never know where you would end up. But yeah, in some form and shape, and I think that's where the getting into ISB helped, because most likely if I think, okay, I don't know how I would have done in consulting, but I like finance very much. I mean, it basically connects my skill in engineering and helps me, yeah, help the bank in much better way. I would put it this way.
Understood. So do you ever look back to your ISB notes or your learning material now?
I have the notes even now, though I don't need it because not a lot of it was in risk management. But yeah, a lot of notes. So the thing is, the way they teach you, I think the matter in which the professors teach is more important. How you attack the problem, how you go about solving it. It's those skills which are important, not the notes, frankly. So once you've done that for a year, you know you could do it.
Understood.
Yeah. So yeah, there would be times when you want to get to notes, for example, financial engineering notes. I would go back and see once in a while, but you can always find them in the books. So yeah, yeah, it's more.
I completely agree. Yeah. Being halfway through the program myself. So Prasanna, we understand that ISB is pretty different in India, being a one-year program as compared to 2. What has your experience been with the recognition of this program outside India?
Nowadays, ISB has been is getting globally recognized, right? The Indian School of Business punches above its weight. It's one of the top-ranked institutions in India and in the world, according to the Financial Times rankings. So when you talk about that, I'm from the Indian School of Business, ranked where in the world. It does make people sit up and think. And I'm luckily in a position where I interact with senior stakeholders both offshore and onshore. And both of the institution I'm talking about know our competition, and they know why we are as good as what we say we are.
Got that. And when it comes to aspects such as the international exposure that ISB gives you, even through professors who visit, did the two of you feel that that set you in good stead for your sort of multicultural experiences after the course?
Oh, definitely. Damn straight. I mean, you know, starting from reading HR cases to speaking to international professors, international CEOs, CEOs, looking how the course case studies both affect India and the world, the US. I mean, it is an international MBA in all but name. And I think that's the global nature of it. And yeah, it really helps you out.
Yeah, and especially with the exchange students coming in, right? So if you are a part of exchange program outside, then you interact with, of course, the exposure is more. But even when you are inside India, you don't go. People on exchange come over, right? So and you interact with them, and you get to know about them, and they come from all the countries. So yeah, yeah. Whether you go outside or not, I think it doesn't matter. It does give you exposure, and all the professors, they are from. I think significant of them are either already from outside or they have significant exposure outside. So that gives you that experience and exposure to cross-culture.
I completely agree with this, because I think even in the coming term, we have professors from Tunisia, the US, and other countries as well teaching us. So just to look at life beyond the regions you all are in, are you in contact with alumni in other regions of the world, for example, Europe or the Americas, such that if you were to ever wish to move there, you could possibly leverage that network?
Okay, so we definitely have a big group for 300 plus in our batch, and I would say perhaps a third of them are outside, and significant chunk of them perhaps in US. So moving to US perhaps would be easiest. You can tap into the network. Second, perhaps would be I think London, Mid East, and Singapore, in that order, I would say, is where the alumni are settled. And but yeah, they are in different sectors, so it may not be, how should I put it? So depending on the industry, one country could be better than the other for you, and depending on your connection in your alumni network. But I don't see it would be very difficult if I wish to move. I don't wish to move, but if I wish to move, I am sure I can tap into the alumni network. I'm confident.
Sure, got that.
Yeah.
So now we're just gonna shift gears a little bit to take you back a long time to about, and what I'd understand would be about 2004. What was your process of applying to ISB, and what is your experience going through that?
Okay, so you wouldn't believe. Okay, in 2004, right? So I had so yeah. I was analyzing most of the schools, and because I had very little experience, 2 years of experience, so it was not that a lot of schools were open. Okay, so that's a fact. But at the same time, whatever experience I had in consulting and stuff, I actually, now I recall that I did my return on investment analysis on why 1 year program actually helps in getting your returns faster and quicker, and basically there are various ways you can see that. So one is 1 year of lost opportunities. If you take that 1 year of lost opportunity as your last year in career, it's a big number. right? That's one. Even if you don't take it that way, even if you take it as your next year in your career, it basically halves your cost in some sense. I mean, it is all based on the cost estimate that was then. I think it was much cheaper. Now it's more expensive, and compared to the expected salary that you would get, right? It always worked in ISB's favor, always, and I think it would work even now, if I'm not wrong.
Got it. Prasanna, you had an interesting background being an international student coming to ISB. So what motivated you to come here, and what was your entire admissions experience like?
My motivation was simple. I wanted to do an MBA. I checked around colleges, universities across the Asia Pacific region. The one in Melbourne was ranked lower than ISB. Obviously, having the opportunity with Indian roots to come to India was a great opportunity to take, and so I took it. And I'm privileged that ISB accepted my application. And my 1 year at ISB was like nothing. Was like no other. And I know I sound like a broken record when I say it, but yeah, it is truly a life-changing experience.
Halfway through here, I can attest that like this year so far has been very, very different from any other year in my life. And I think even post the course, that would continue to probably be the case.
Yeah, I don't think any course in India, or maybe there are some new courses coming up, but at my time, there weren't any courses in India, or for example, I know of my friends that they were from different IITs. The kind of teaching experience and the content and the way they deliver, interact with you, it's unparalleled. It's unparalleled. I mean, and I'm sure it's much better now than before. Yeah, it is a life-changing 1 year, which changes the way you would operate going forward. Your attitude, yeah.
For sure. I think you discover more about the world, and you also discover a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
And what you think you could do. So, Prasanna, to think back maybe a decade, what, if you recall, were your writings in your admissions essays, and how have things panned out according to that? Hello? Okay. I think Prasanna's got a bit of a weak connection. But Mr. Jha, can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, okay, yeah. I'll take that. So
Sure.
when okay, it's a long time. Okay, but let me recall. So as I said, I wanted to become a consultant. So my essays were filled up about the gaps that I had before getting into ISB and why I wanted ISB degree. So the essay was more about that I aspired to become a consultant. This is what I have, and these are the gaps, and this is where ISB can fill the gaps with its excellent pedigree and professors. Though I ended up being in finance, so I could say, okay, you just change the words from consulting to finance, and it would fit. Yeah, that's how I would put it. But essentially, I would say it turned out much better than it would have been if I had gone to consulting. It's primarily because it would depend on everyone's history. So my history, being an engineer, and that too, electronics engineer, so you do a lot of maths. You do statistics. You have some earnings to do justice to both your engineering degree as well as your MBA degree. So it's sort of a sweet spot, I would put it this way.
Got it.
Yeah.
And with respect to, like, I see we're getting quite a few questions on the importance of the essay in ISB admissions. And Prasanna, if you can hear us, what do you think of that question in and of itself in terms of the essays as part of the application?
Well, You're gonna have to be true to yourself. I think that's the thing with the essays. In my essay, I was true to what I wanted to do. And I really liked what I was doing. And so I was passionate about what I wanted to do. And that's what I put in my essays. So I think if you are not true to yourself, you're going to be writing it in from a perspective of a different person, which isn't going to be great.
Got that. Yeah. And just speaking from like personal experience too, I think if you look at the entire application, there's your prior education, there's your work experience, and the essays, your test scores and your essays. And I think a lot of those are numbers in terms of prior scores and so on. But I think the essay is the key opportunity you have to let the admissions committee know about you as a person and to basically answer the questions of why you want to come to ISB and what ISB will give you in your attempt to build your career. So coming to like, we've discussed a lot about careers post ISB, and one of the questions we have here is if someone has prior work experience before applying to ISB, how do you all think that would fit in with the application?
I'll take that.
Prasanna, oh yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Jha, go ahead.
Yeah, Arun. So I think you need to have at least some years of experience. It need not be significant, but at least 3-4 years of experience. It helps you take mature decisions. MBA is an investment, right? So when you want to do an investment, you want to think through what you want to do. So once you have some experience in corporate life, you would know. I think you would be more clear what you want to do, whether you want to do higher studies or you really want to make a career through my MBA, and what is the right school. So, for example, that's where when you look at it as investment, you think about 1 year, 2 year, and whatnot. Doing in India, the same world-class education versus US. A lot of things come into picture, and it helps you make the decision. Yeah.
Got that. Prasanna, do you have any thoughts to add?
How would, I mean, let's face it, ISB teaches us to be managers and leaders, right? And you can't really be a leader if you're not at any one point in time. So what can is what you did? Can you tell a story? Are you proud of what you did? And to showcase that, I think that's where the real, I guess the real challenge lies. For instance, I'm proud of what I did pre-ISB. So, you know, you catch me and I'll talk to you all day about it. And that's what got me through as well. And I love doing what I'm doing post ISB as well. So it's not only just the quantity or quantum of experience, it's the fact that you're really enjoying what you did.
If I could add, actually, now that I recall, in fact, part of the reason why ISB excels is the student itself, their experiences, what they share in the class, right? Their own experiences during various cases. If you don't have an experience, you have nothing to offer to the table, right? To the other colleagues. So yeah, you think of it from that perspective. You ought to learn from others, but at the same time, you need to have something to give to others, right? So, and for that, you need to have experience. I think the more, perhaps an experience of 5-6 years on average, it works well, because you have a good idea of how it is to work in corporates. You have your personal experiences that you can share in class, and you still have time to grow and change career if you want, right? It's not a big time. So yeah, perhaps 3 to 6, I would say, is the ideal experience.
Got that. And in your years, I understand that there were multiple rounds of admission. Like, which round did you all apply in, and like, did you notice it making any significant difference?
Oh, I don't recall that. Perhaps I applied in R1, but I'm not sure. Unless you apply in both, you won't know, right? So
yes, which you're also restricted from doing.
Right.
But yeah, just to answer this, personally, I have not seen amidst my cohort any difference in which round they admitted and finally, all you want to do is just ensure you have the strongest profile and the strongest application that you can submit. And yeah, just don't happenstance submit an application, put your time to think through what you're writing and why you're writing it.
I think agree. It's more important that you be truthful to yourself and do the essays properly. Write down why you want to pursue, and that puts you as a person to the selection committee, right? And that is more important than really R1 R2, I think.
Yeah. Prasanna, do you have any thoughts to add on this? Yeah, I think his connection stalled a bit. But here's a question.
Aaron, I'm really sorry. I've really got a bad connection. So probably I can take one more question and then I'll have to drop off.
Of course. So I was just saying that this is an interesting question we've got. But Prasanna, the question is, what are the potholes we need to avoid in applying to the PGP?
How much time do you have? This could take all night. Get a drink. No.
I think it dropped off.
Okay, so Mr. Jha, why don't you take that?
Potholes to avoid. Okay, I think don't be artificial. I guess that's because there are many questions, and if you're not clear, if you are just perhaps doing some if it is not coming from your head, it will not gel. It will not come out as a story. And I think even the essays and all is part of a storytelling. It's your chance essentially to tell the selection committee why you deserve the seat versus others, right? So you can't screw up with that. You can't have different questions or different part of it coming from various people. It won't connect. I think that would be the pothole, because your grades and stuff and history, they are a given. You can't change those, so they are a given. What you can change is essentially the essay. There you can put your case, even with your degrees, even if they're excellent, right, or not. So that one, and yeah. So during the essays, even during the interviews, you when you put your resume, you put down what actually you've done, because yeah, if you put down something which actually you're not part of, you'll get caught. So definitely that's a pothole to avoid.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, I think, yeah, there's not much, frankly. Just be yourself and yeah.
So
if you fit in, you'll get in. Yeah.
So just I understand what you mean out there, because I went through this last year, and I think a lot of people, like a big pothole that I'd recommend people be wary of is preconceived notions about the application process, because a lot of people have notions which are not very justified, and we have people in the cohort here who are from all sorts of backgrounds.
Yeah.
And the admissions committee makes the time to understand each background, regardless how niche the entire industry may be that the person comes from. From personal example, like I was a journalist before I came here.
Okay.
And in the same class, I have people who were in the military, or obviously you have engineers or people who've done diverse things in diverse places. And yeah, I think just clarity is also an important aspect with respect to the essays. So I think the biggest pothole I'd identify is preconceived notions about what the adcom might think. Yeah, just the advice I'd give is be yourself and focus on being clear in communicating who you are and what you want to do and why ISB.
Yeah.
So coming to basically factors in your time since you graduated from ISB, Mr. Jha, what would you say have been the biggest value adds after you've graduated? Like, in what ways either has the network helped you, or have you come back to the school or to the professors or your fellow students for advice, for knowledge, whatever it may be?
Okay, I would say unfortunately hadn't had many chance to go back to the college for example, continuing education, right? We do have this option of doing courses with the current students. I haven't had chance, but yeah, not with the school, but yeah, with the alumni network here. Yeah, I had a. I'm having a good time. So that is the value add. Essentially, you even with your network, you talk to them, you get to know about the current events in industry. It's a continuous process. The bigger the network is. So now, for example, what I've seen is the influx from ISB cohort to Singapore is I think the batch is getting bigger and bigger, and the network is now bigger. So you see that, and given that another thing is that you have people of all ages and also the executive education for that matter. So it doesn't matter whether they are coming 10 years after you. It's possible that there's something that you can learn from them, even your juniors. Yeah, that's the. I think it's good in a way.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Mr. Jha, one question we've had here is, could the panelists talk about what their life would have been like had they not attended ISB? Have you thought about that? And if so, what have your views been?
What my life would have been, I would most likely have done a master's or PhD in technical electronics, most likely, if not ISB. I guess, yeah, but it's a lot of if and else's, and it's possible that even after that I would have end up in finance because a lot of my friends did. So even after doing masters, so yeah, I think path matters, but that's where I think you have to be true to yourself. You will eventually end up where you are destined to be in some sense, and where your skill sets are, where you want to. The path, whether ISB helps you or some other course, is equally important, and that's why you have to. You should give some time in the whole process. It's and also given that yeah, because it's expensive, that's one, and it's a significant investment. So yeah, I'm not sure if I wondered on the question, but
No, I think that was pretty accurate. I can't answer this question because I obviously do not have time post ISB to talk about. But for the audience, if any of you have questions strictly related to careers abroad, feel free to raise your hands and we'll answer as many as we can.
And Aaron, before that, there's this question by
Sure.
Yash. I think he has asked, I think a couple of minutes back, can both of you, Mr. Jha and Aaron, can you please talk about your career and Aaron in terms, I mean, you after ISB, you know, what if ISB would not have happened in your life?
Okay, so Mr. Jha, I think just answer that
Basically,
one.
the importance of ISB, PGP.
yeah, okay,
particularly.
so okay, I'll try and answer. So okay, before ISB, so as I mentioned, so before ISB, I had IIT degree. I would say I had a lot of skill. I knew how to solve problems, but what professors at ISB taught, for example, if I go back to statistics, so we did very complicated statistics at during my engineering. But Mr. Stein, Dr. Stein, he just took regression and went deep into it, so much so that if you know only regression, you and he with I think in 10 courses or I don't know how many classes he took, but after that he said, if you know this much about regression, rest of the statistics is just I forgot the word, just a manipulation of it. So if you know regression, you know statistics. You can sit down yourself. So that's the kind of inner insights that they give. So when you approach the same problem, right? If you have the right degree, so okay, if I could give an example, right? So it's in many cases there are two professors, right? And both of them would be equally qualified, can answer your question, but one of them can tell you succinctly to the point, so that even you can tell others. The other person can solve the problem, but he would not be able to inculcate the same passion in which you should attack the problem, right? So that is the kind of difference it would have in me. I would say I would still solve the problem, but I would not be able to connect to, for example, top management, right? Because they don't know in many cases mathematics. What they want is the insight. What they want is to know the English version of it, right? The story part of it, that gels with them. So and that gap, yeah, that is what you get to learn at ISB. Even so, this was just one example. I mean, there are various such examples.
To briefly weigh in on this, as I mentioned, I don't have a career post ISB yet to talk about, but I was a journalist before coming here. Yeah, and I notice already that a lot of doors open, even if in conversations outside the college, people are far more willing to talk and even take what I may have known earlier, but now that there is a degree of credibility that is what the ISB brand provides, they're far more willing to talk. Their options that I'm sure will be open, and a lot of interesting conversations to be had just by being here. Kaushik, you wanted?
Yeah. Also, there is. Thank you, Mr. Shah and Aaron. You answered this question. There's this question from Rajdeep that he's planning to apply for 2024-25 batch. He thinks that he'll be 31 by then, so he want Mr. Jha to comment that, what are the placement chances if somebody is a bit old compared to the batch size? Honestly, Rajdeep, age is just a number. Companies are interested in knowing what are you bringing to the table, what expertise, what qualities do you have. They are not interested in your age. So it does not make any difference. Aaron and Mr. Shah, would you like to add something?
Yeah. I think, okay, if I remember my time correctly, there was a separate placement for those with 8+ or 10+ years of experience for CXO kind of role and senior roles, right? So in a sense, it could be helpful, right? If you have the experience and you combine that with ISB degree, you bring a lot more to the table as a senior manager, as a senior into senior management compared to others. So if I could go back and think, I was jealous.
Yes. So Rajdeep, take it as an opportunity. Yeah.
Okay. Finally, just briefly adding on to that, I think one key thing ISB does is that it keeps its cohort in mind when you have like services like career advancement services. So they specifically speak to companies across experience brackets, across industries, to find and help students when it comes to where they're going to be post ISB. So I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah. Thank you, Aaron, for the answer. Thank you, Mr. Shah. So one by one, we will start unmuting people. Participants, you can raise your hand as and when your number will come. And yeah, so I'll start with Naveen. And just, there's a request. Please stick to the career abroad questions. And for admission related queries, me, Ketan, Ritesh, we're all there. We'll take the questions related to admission, about life at ISB, and most importantly, the careers abroad, the prospects and all. Please stick to such questions. Thank you so much. So Neeraj, you can unmute yourself and ask a question. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My question is specifically for Sandeep. Hi, Sandeep.
Hi.
So your career trajectory has been something what I would say is I'm on the path to. So like I am applying to ISB this year, and I hope to get into consulting post ISB. But I also have a inclination towards finance. So I just wanted to ask you, like, while you were there, what are some finance opportunities that you saw? Like, these are the main sectors that you can go into finance. Like, can you talk about that?
So in finance, there are various opportunities. So one would be, for example, sales and trading. That's one. The second would be risk management, in which I am in, and the third would be retail. So these three are broadly, and the opportunity will also depend on local circumstances in that year where the demand is. But in general, okay, so this year, for example, I think with rising inflation and stuff, perhaps it will be a little bit down, I guess, on the sales and trading side. But risk management is always open. That's one, and the retail side is always open. So those two. I'm not sure how much experience you have, but I would urge you to dig a bit into the various career opportunities in finance and see if you fit in, right? So some of it requires a lot of mathematics and understanding of it, so that you can work with senior management. Tell them in English. If it is, for example, trading or structuring for that matter. But if you want to, for example, get into sales, I remember some of my colleagues went into sales in Deutsche Bank during my year. But yeah, I'm not sure if I answered your question, but as I said, if you are in a fix between consulting and finance, it's for you to figure out. You have to, I can tell you what finance is. I had very little experience in consulting, about 2-3 years. I liked finance more than consulting. Consulting is also a great experience, but it's not for everyone. And same for finance. It's not for everyone. So that you have to figure out. If that helps.
Yeah, thanks, Sandeep. That definitely helps. I had a slight follow-up question. Actually, not a follow-up, it's a different question. Like, I wanted to ask you if, like, how strong do you feel is the ISB alumni base for you? Like, let's say if at a certain point in your career, you feel like, okay, I have certain, obligations in my life that I want to move to US, let's say, or Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think ISB alumni base can help you do that easily, that transition? Or
US, definitely so. I think the strongest base of ISB is in US. So US is definitely easy. Even from India, I think people move quite easily there. So from here, it should be easier. But as I said, see, there are two parts to it, right? Most of the companies are multinational now, right? And they have an office in India, most of them. So you get one opportunity from within company. That's one. And second is, yes, you have your alumni. So if there is any opening and there is a chance, definitely. So, but there are there could be some local country-specific restrictions, and there your friends or network cannot help, right? So, for example, in case of Singapore, sometimes, or I think in case of perhaps even smaller countries, it's more so. There could be visa restrictions, right? So there definitely they can't do much. But as long as it's open to everyone, I have I don't know whether I helped my colleagues from ISB, but yeah, I have quite frequently helped my colleagues from banks. So if they happen to be from ISB, it could be even more so. So I would put this way. I mean, most of your friends would be willing to help, for sure.
okay. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. No worries.
Thank you, Naveen. Thank you, Mr. Jha. So next is Siddharth. Siddharth Somalinga. Please go ahead and ask a question.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much for curating the session. So while it's great to hear about the alumni base, I'm more curious to know the stats behind the number of companies that come and recruit for roles, international roles. Is that something which actively happens at ISB, more specifically in terms of consulting, or is the best opportunity to move into consulting and then look for opportunities abroad by leveraging the alumni network or by moving intern? Thank you so much.
Oh, is it for me? Okay, so I won't know about the placements today, but in my batch, I think easily a third of my batch was placed outside India. But that's a long time. So I think perhaps the current ISB students, Aaron can help with the current statistics.
So we do have roles across different geographies. I don't have an immediate recollection of stats themselves. So I think the admissions department and more particularly the career advancement services would have actual data on that. But it's across roles, it's across sectors. Finance is some retail consulting and across regions too. So I think at least 3 continents. Kaushik, would you have more?
I'm sorry, come again.
Would you have more details on Siddharth's question with respect to data on international placements?
Data, yes, we do have the data, but Siddharth, please mention your email ID in chat so that we can get back to you with the exact details. Yeah.
And
Sure,
I think
will
we'll
do
have
so.
a better
Thank you so much.
understanding.
Yeah.
We'll have a better understanding later this year when the placement report is released.
The only thing I can add is, as I said, in recent past couple of years, I see more and more ISB graduates in Singapore. So I can tell about Singapore.
Siddharth, I hope that answers the question. Rest of the details, we will get back to you with that. Yeah.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Again, Siddharth, but this time Siddharth Roy. Siddharth, please ask your question.
Hi, everyone. So actually, my question was related to the outbound exchange program. I just wanted to know, like, how did it help any candidate to get opportunities abroad? Was it only through networking, or like something else? Some other factors are also involved.
Okay, I personally did not take part in the international exposure program, so I probably am not best placed to answer this, but let me try. Okay, so your question is whether somebody got placed directly through this. I don't recall personally, but as I said, see, the time period that you get, right, is only a short 3 months, and your I think it's a 3-month exchange program, right? So it's not
Varies
enough for
up to 6 in some cases.
Okay, if it is a 6 months program, maybe you can convert, but 3 months is actually a short period, even given your experience, right, inside India, to complete all the from start to interviews to completion, and that too, it should happen on day 1 when you join abroad, right? All the stars have to align, I would say. So yeah, that should not be, I think that should not be your reason. It's one of the plus points if you get, and it's not the end of the world if you don't get in just from there. It's just the beginning. It's more about the experience. It's more about to perceive the differences between, okay, the same course at ISB and outside, to get the experience about cross culture, experiences with people of different background, different country, ethnicity. If you don't have already, right? If you already have, perhaps you don't need it. But yeah, it is to break the barriers, right? It definitely is much more beyond that. Okay, I would say I can see a lot of people are focused on placements, and I was as well, to be very frank, when I was applying. but believe me, it's not, it's okay. If there's one decision that I'll never be regret of, it's the ISB decision, that's for sure. And okay, this exchange program, I actually regret not going there. So I'll be frank about that as well. If with the experience that and the education you get, even if you don't get placed outside right after ISB, it is just a matter of years. If you want to go outside for that matter, right? Because a lot of people now I see, in fact, the other way around. Okay, I at least in my batch or I think a couple of batches, the people who want to do entrepreneurship and people who want to start, because everything, the growth is in India now, right? If you see, the matured countries don't have significant stories or room, for example, for growth. So that's one thing. I think all the big companies, that's why all the big companies are moving to India and investing in India, the investment like VC and other teams. So yeah, it's just a matter of time. Don't be too focused on outside placement. It'll come.
Okay, thanks. And also just like I also asked a question in the Q&A, and so this particular outbound programs, they happen after the 5th term and after the placements have been done.
I think no, some of them could be before placement. Some of them, I think, goes beyond placement. If it is a 6-month program, I'm sure it will go beyond ISP 1 year.
So
right?
currently what we see is that it mostly starts end of the year or early this following year. And there can be exchanges for 1, 2, 3, 6 months. And the ones that are on the longer end, you basically take up a little like a month or maybe 2 post ISB, which like most employers are anyways give you that time before you join.
Okay, so it can be like after the placements are done, and it can also be before the placements have taken place.
No,
in
so
ISB.
in my experience, if so, like we have a time that placements are go, and then you basically can look at when to go, and then you can basically provide your applications for the different programs.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know. One more Siddharth Roy is there who has asked a question: how are opportunities in careers like investment banking or management consulting post PGP in other countries in comparison to similar career post PGP in those industries in India?
Yeah, what exactly, I'm sorry, I just made it a little bit too long. What I wanted to know is that what those particular sectors, I mean, in those particular sectors like IB and the other one, what are the exact prospects for candidates in India vis-a-vis those abroad?
I think, okay, the prospects in India are more because, as I said, most of the investments are now going into India, right? Outside India, okay, there are opportunities in Singapore and Hong Kong mostly. That's where the and in London, yeah, some of my classmates. That's where I know they have been. So yeah, it's both. It's inside India and outside India. It depends. But most of them, I think, maybe except for a couple of them, most had some experience inside India, maybe 1-2 year like me, and then they went outside. Direct placement, I don't remember.
So,
but as I said, yeah.
In my year, like there are direct placements also happening. And that occurs to wherever the financial centers are. And to answer your question on IB, you do have IB roles, and then you basically look at, with respect to prospects, you're looking at the typical clientele of each center. So people who are based in, I think, Dubai or Doha, then cater to the GCC region and clients out there. So then your clients would obviously be in the industries that dominate those areas. But that would be expected in any case. But we do have that happening too. I can't go into details of who and all that because like this is the process is still underway.
Okay, thank you. That was really helpful.
Do we have more questions?
So you can unmute the other people.
Yeah.
So I guess we have Hiranmai here. Hiranmai, I'm allowing you to talk. Do you have any questions relating to careers abroad?
I think that hand was raised from earlier on.
Okay. Okay, so Yash, do you have any questions for us?
Yes, good evening all. Thanks so much. Fantastic session. A very quick one. I've noticed that a lot of friends and people, graduates from ISB are increasingly taking up jobs in Singapore and Dubai. I represent an industry that has a strong presence there. And although I don't have a preference in recruiting in either geographies, I mean, in India or abroad, I'm interested to know if there is any if any industry in particular has a upper hand in recruiting for these geographies. I have an assumption that could probably be consulting or tech, but I would like somebody to clarify from the team, please.
Opportunities definitely in consulting and tech are always there, right? And especially if you think from Singapore, the government itself is very future centric. So there's a lot of focus on technology and futuristic plans, and that's where both consulting and technology fits in. So that demand will always be there in Singapore. I can say I don't know about Dubai, but Dubai is also very futuristic for that matter. As much as with my little experience I had there. So these two industry definitely, and finance has to be there to support industries. So it'll be there. Yeah, the immediate there could be immediate gaps in supply, changes in supply and demand in specific industries in specific year. That is possible, but I would, as I said, both these centers, Singapore and Dubai, they have little supply, more demand. So it's always open for people from India and China and other countries.
There also are some roles in like marketing for consumer goods that are there, as Mr. Jha mentioned, of course, finance as well. And sometimes you have in-house strategy roles as well. And that's across different companies that may be in different sectors. I think we've seen retail. These are some of the pretty diverse examples so far.
Understood. Thank you so much for confirming.
Ketan, are we looking at more questions?
Yeah, so we have Krisha. Krisha, do you have any questions for us?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah, Krisha.
Okay, thank you so much for a wonderful session. I might have missed the first few questions or the first half of it, but I'm just trying to gauge if ISB is the right college for me in terms of ROI. So my question is, I'm from the AdTech industry and I have an AdTech background for like almost a year or so. And by the time I get admitted to ISB, I will have like 2.5 years of work experience in the AdTech. So say for example, I'm looking forward to go into the same kind of industry or a similar industry. Do we have AdTech companies like Google coming for placements from abroad, or probably various other companies which are not placed in India?
Mr. Jai, I think that's outside your sector.
Yes, right. So I won't know,
Okay.
frankly. Okay, sorry, I did. Okay, I thought it's question for everyone. So
Okay.
I wouldn't know, frankly, but maybe someone else can in the team can shed some light on.
Sure, sure. So, Krisha, just to be sure, you're talking about the AdTech sector specifically?
Yeah, I'm talking about the ad tech sector specifically, but in terms of ROI, say for example, in consulting or some other industry, how do you feel the ROI is? Like, I understand that ISB has a good kind of investment that you have to put in, right? So in terms
Mhm.
of ROI, how exactly would you place ISB?
Okay, so there, I think, two factors to it, and I'll come to your ad tech aspect too. One is the cost, and the second is the time taken. And I think the key thing with ISB is that they get you what matters in less time taken than most other places. So though the sticker price, and a lot of people, and this was me too a few years ago, got get their eyes wide at the sticker price. The fact is that there are opportunities post, and there are companies, to come into the second part of your question, in ad tech and so on. That specifically isn't an area I've looked at, so I haven't, to be very honest, paid that much attention to where they're based. But I think historically we have looked at marketing analytics, and I understand ad tech would be a part of that. And they do have roles, of course, in India. And I think many of them are like Google, to my understanding, has historically had a lot of people who've joined who've spent time in areas like Singapore and across the Asian region. That I think those company specific. So you obviously need a recruiter to have a geographical presence in an area, in a geography you're looking at, to be able to get there. So yeah, I'm sorry I don't have more details on ad tech specifically, because my personal aspirations have been pretty different. But I hope this helps.
So just to add, if I can, I mean, Krisha, what happens is that, the good thing about ISB is that you get in the companies of your choice. First of all, you go to the placements committee, which is known as the Career and CAS team, Career Advancement Services team. And the companies of your choice, and Google being one of the prominent companies, definitely come. Right. Now, what happens is, if I talk only about the average CTC we had for the people who passed out last year, the average was 34.07 lakhs. Now, that is the average CTC I'm talking about. The highest can go up to, which I'm not, asked to divulge. I cannot do that. So you can do your own research and figure that out. But as far as ROI is concerned, you definitely are in safe hands as far as ISB is concerned. So you don't worry about the placements and ROI. The brand ISB will take you places.
Just to add to what Ketan has said, we have a very potent CAS team at ISB, and they do the conspiracy to place you down somewhere, wherever you feel like.
So, Krisha, I understand the question on the ROI aspect. To just give you a bit of context, I took a loan for the program, and like my dad was thrilled that I didn't depend on any family funding. So yeah, his Amazon order history reflected that. But yeah, like everybody alone, it's a matter of a few years. Usually people pay off in 3-4, and on easy payments. It's not like you're spending most of your income on paying off the loan. That's not true.
Understood. Thank you so much for answering that, and wish you all the luck. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Hi, this is Hiran. I think my name was called out a little earlier and I wasn't able to take my turn, so I was wondering if I could go. Hi, thank you for a great session. I had a question regarding the fact that my experience so far has been in running a small-scale tech entrepreneurship firm, and I'm planning to do my MBA. And I was wondering, while there are some transferable skills, are there easy pivots available for people with a tech entrepreneurship background if they want to move into product management full time?
Okay.
And also, just adding to that, basically, what does it depend on apart from your pedigree? Does it depend on your grades, and what are the other factors that drive it?
So Hiranmai, I'll request you to just wait for 10 more minutes. Probably we'll have Mr. Sandeep Jha till 6:30. So we'll try and focus our questions on careers abroad. After that, I will take this question personally from you as to what is that we are looking for in a candidate from different sectors and from your sector also. Right. So we can do that. Just wait on for 10 minutes. I think I'll be answering your question.
Sure, no problem. Sorry for intruding.
No
Thank you.
worries. No worries. Naveen, I can see your hand up. Do you have any questions for us as far as careers abroad is concerned?
Yeah, I actually have a question about the exchange program. I think Aaron would be best suited to answer that. Can I
Yeah,
go?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, like, what are the kind of details that you have available while you are making the decision to go out for an exchange program? Let's say if you want to go to an exchange program at, let's say, NYU Stern or London Business School, do you have the data available for what are the electives that you can choose during that time? You know, do you have all this data available so you can compare and make your best decision?
Yeah, so good question, and I think a very pertinent one, given you're spending the time and resources to go abroad. So with the partner schools that ISB has, so ISB has a dedicated person who oversees all of this, and you do have direct access to her and the team, and also they also speak to the universities to understand what the universities abroad are going to be teaching at that point in time. So, and the university, like the different universities there are, and there are dozens of them, they send in information dockets with what the time of the exchange is, like even your living situation, what will be taught. And you can always contact the university just to make sure that what you're being taught is available to you should you go there. So yeah, so there is information, like you're not flying blind in terms of you just happen to land up and then you're forced to take whatever's on the buffet at that point in time, if that answers your question.
Yeah, that does. Thank you. And one slight, follow up to that, like how do you get selected for these schools? Like, let's say too many people would be applying for, the most sought after schools like London Business School, Wharton, or NYU Stern, stuff like that. So how do you get selected for them?
Sure. So I'm going to quickly pass this to Mr. Jha to hear his cohort's experience, and I'll give you mine after that.
I actually don't remember. I think most of the people, if I remember correctly, got where they wanted to go. So it was not a stiff competition. I think if there was any consideration, probably it would be your grades, in case they have to choose between one of the two. But I think this okay. I can't recall really very clearly, but this how's it playing out, Aaron, now?
Sure.
Thank
Sure.
you.
So so Naveen, it's a very transparent process. There's no like great so a lot of everything actually at ISB is very transparent, right down to the subjects you take. You're given a points total and for the total program, and from those points you bid for elective subjects in an auction. You also have that process for the exchange abroad. So it basically comes out, there's one portal, the information is very transparent, and the process is also very transparent. And you even have like mock drills that are run to ensure everybody is on board with the process, so nobody gets left behind on that count.
Oh, it's the same bidding. It's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so it was the same in your year. Yeah. So so that's how it works. So the information's available beforehand. You have webinars run by the team, the relevant team, and then on the day of the bidding, you go and budget your points based on where you want to go and how much you're willing, out of your total kitty given to you, how much you're willing to spend. And these are points. This isn't money, just to be clear.
Oh yeah, it's a good experience that you're going to have.
Yeah. There's lots of game theory involved.
Yeah. I mean, there are courses where you spend like half of your money or half of your points, and there are courses where you can get it for free. So yeah, it's a good game theory. Correct.
Yeah. Naveen, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. Thanks for your time.
Anytime.
Okay, so we have Deb Jyoti. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
are.
go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Dev Jyoti. Right now, actually, I am working as a graduate engineer trainee in the Aditya Builder Group. So I am 2021 pass out. I am actually looking for for CAT as well as for other programs in ISB as well. So my query is like how do you compare compare this ISB course with top tier MBA colleges like ABC's executive MBA program. This actually doesn't align with the discussion. It's a little different, but although I asked it.
So, Devjyoti,
Thanks for
we
your
would
question.
request you to park this question for some more time, because as Ketan has said, Mr. Jha is only there for a few minutes now. So we would be focusing on the questions which are based for abroad. Okay. So anybody who is having questions for abroad can ask to him. Then when he'll leave, we are there from the admissions team, Ketan, me, and maybe Aaron will also be staying back. So we would be answering these questions post that. Okay.
Right. Thank you. Okay, so no problem.
Okay, so I can only see one hand up now. Anil Tiwari. Anil, I'm allowing you to talk now. Do you have any questions regarding the careers abroad for us?
Yeah, Ketan. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah,
you are.
Yeah, so hi everyone, good evening, and thank you for this great session. I have attended a couple of other sessions also, but I had this question from very long. I know that this is a bit tricky to get into a particular industry and get a placement outside India or anywhere. So that might not happen during ISB, but over the experience, say, for example, if I want to get into PM role after some years of experience, I would have that skills to show and then move to. So network is one thing that I can rely upon. Does ISB provide anything from campus or in any certain way which is not not mostly on the candidate side but from the campus, or do we have some job openings that are shared from campus for experienced people who are already working? Or that way, does campus does anything via ISB, or it is more of individuals work with the network and thing?
Okay, I can shed some light on based on my batch's experience. Essentially, you see ISB as a tool to bid bid yourself to the employers, right? So you have certain skills, you will fill in some gaps, and significant ones, to be very frank, at ISB, and then you have to sell yourself to the companies that you are fit for the role. So definitely your past experience will come into picture, and what ISB has, because what ISB has taught you is not only to you, right? It will be all your batchmates. So in some sense, you'll be competing with them. So that's where your past experience will also come into picture, and that's one. And second, how much you've learned more better than your colleagues. So, but in terms of career options, I see my friends doing PM roles, and none of them were PM before. So definitely that is should not be a concern. But whether it was right after college, that I don't remember frankly. But
Yeah, just to add to what Mr. Jha said, I'm not an alum yet, but I understand that there's an alum portal that is also run, or an alum community of sorts, which the school runs, which one can choose to be a member of. And I understand that often there are roles that are posted there too. So that's one of the things that I think the school also administers in partnership with the alums. I don't know if you're a member of that, Mr. Jha.
no, actually, I am not actively looking for
Okay.
job, but I do get emails on the roles. I think it comes every week, right? So
I'm not sure. Not in a position to.
It comes. So yeah, so there are job postings. I think continuous job postings, and then you can find. So that's definitely one. But as I said, it is it is given ISB has placement opportunities, that gives you essentially more footage, more time with the prospective companies. And also in fact, after you pass out of ISB, through these emails, you're getting all the jobs available through portal. So it's I've not looked at them, so I wouldn't know whether, but as I said, a lot of my friends are in those roles. These are the upcoming roles. They were not, I think these roles were not there 10 years ago.
Sure. Got that. Ketan, do we have any other questions, or can Mr. Jha and I drop off?
I think it's already time. Mr. Sandeep, he is, the very intricate answers that he has given, only he could give. So thank you very much, Mr. Sandeep. Thank you very much, Aaron, for moderating this session. What we'll do is probably you can log off, and myself and Ritesh will be there to answer any of the questions relating to admission process and the other things that we can talk about. Thank you, Mr. Sandeep, again. I mean, it was Sunday evening, World Cup match. Probably must have been something a bit, right?
No,
that's some opportunity cost, right? I'm sure people would appreciate that too. Thank you very much, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, thanks for logging in, folks. See you.
Yes, cheers.
Yeah, Deep Jyoti, yes, please.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Dear MBA, maybe I am ABCs. I mean, how can I think of the different kind of roles apart from like consulting and marketing? Is there any specific job role for operations as well in the placement scenario?
Okay, first of all, Babu, I think we don't need to record this session now. We can stop the recording. So